Hello, everybody. You're about to listen to my interview with Patrick Jacobs, who is the co-founder of Immerss. Immerss is a conversational commerce platform that combines the very best of live stream shopping and digital video clienteling, or video sales support, or live video sales support for online merchants. Check out the episode. I think you're going to love it. This is the E-commerce Edge Podcast with your host, Jason Greenwood. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I have an amazing guest for you today, and I think we're going to have a really, really great chat about things that are super pertinent to e-commerce and really conversational commerce today. Welcome, Patrick Jacobs from Immerss.
Jason, nice to be here.
Super cool to have you along for the ride today, mate. You're based in Dallas, Texas, the great state of Texas, right?
The Lone Star State. I am. Yes. Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Everything. No doubt.
Interesting. I used to work very early in my career when I was still living in California. My first quote unquote career was working in hospitality, and I was working for a very large restaurant chain called Claim Jumper. And Claim Jumper modeled themselves on sort of the Texas style steakhouse. The restaurant itself was huge, sat sort of 350 people. Plates were massive, came out, most food came out on massive pewter platters. So definitely, I think the Lone Star State has had a big influence on cuisine right across the United States, and particularly Tex-Mex, obviously.
Yeah, man, I know the Claim Jumper well.
It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Good stuff, mate. Well, look, it is really great to be chatting with you today. And what we're going to talk about is your amazing software, Immerss. And you guys really, from what I can tell, I've never used your software before, but from what I can tell, you are a bit of a combination of technologies that really come together in one seamless package. So you offer live stream shopping, but you also offer virtual clienteling or virtual shopper assistant video commerce as well, all in one sort of immersive package.
There you have it, man. Yeah, you nailed it. Come work for us. You got it. Yeah, that really is it. I mean, that's a nice, succinct way of putting it. Look, at the end of the day, it's all about getting the customer the most seamless path and direct path to a brand's product experts or brand sales associate as they possibly can, right? In the online world, historically, right, it's humanless, right? And for higher consideration products, it can be frustrating to try to buy things online. It's one thing to be buying a roll of, paper towels or something online, but it's an entirely different thing to be buying a piece of jewelry or, an expensive pair of cowboy boots or couch or whatever that is. And sometimes if you had a little bit of guidance, that purchase journey would be a lot more pleasant. And the same in store. If you're walking through a big box retailer, it's tough to find somebody just, in and of itself to help you. And then do they really know even more than you know about the product you're considering? That's the other challenge. And so that's really was kind of the problem that we set out to solve, was really creating that instant connection between a brand's experts and a shopper, both online and in store, to really make it a more pleasant experience.
And it feels very much like you would have competed. Obviously, you don't anymore because this other company has sort of been swallowed up by the Borg. But sounds like, at least from a clienteling perspective, you would have historically competed against platforms like Hero. And obviously, they've been gobbled up by the Klarna machine and rolled into some of their other digital shopping technologies. And I'm a little bit confused, actually, where Klarna is headed with all this amalgamation of these this black box of technologies that they've acquired over the years, and they've rolled it into their digital retail technology side of their business. One would have thought that they would stick to their knitting of buy now, pay later, but they seem to be trying to acquire everything under the sun in regards to retail. So I think it's probably only a matter of time until they acquire a pause company or something like that. But certainly Hero was probably one of the most well-known digital clienteling technology platforms out there. But I don't really see it around anymore. But that I guess historically that's the kind of technology that would have been one of your competitors.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, we're always, compared to them, at least we were in the early days. One thing that really differentiated us was our ability to have live shopping as well, more of the live streaming piece as well. And we really have created a unified live commerce platform. Our platform, I believe, is superior to any of the others out there. That probably doesn't surprise you to come from the mouth of the co-founder of the company. But some of the limitations and frustrations that we saw from customers who were with Hero, and we've picked up a couple that have switched over to us, is really just the seamless interaction between live video, switching over to chat, the ability to quickly share products, to add stuff to carts. All of that is really flawless in our process. But look, they're still out there like you. And I think like anybody that kind of has their antenna up on e-commerce, it is interesting to see what Klarna plans to do with all of these little kind of widgets that they're acquiring. But you're right, their name is not out there. It doesn't seem like the way it once was.
Absolutely. And how did you come to the conclusion that this was a problem to be solved? How did you've been doing this for 5 years. You've had a mixed background working across brand partnerships for Shoulders of Giants, co-founder and president of Bright Educational Media, VP sales and marketing for a motorsports network. So you've had a mixed background. It wouldn't allude, at least immediately, it wouldn't allude to the fact you wanted to jump into the e-commerce or live commerce or digital commerce game in any way. What led you to believe that, hey, this sector of the market is either broken or missing or really needs a game-changing player to join it and really shake things up?
Yeah. So twofold. One was at my kind of last stop before I connected with my co-founder Arthur here for Immerss. I was managing brand partnerships for an outdoors e-commerce website. And one of the things that I saw was that people were coming to us for information and to try to figure out what product would be right for them, and then going straight to the brand and purchasing it from them. And so that was kind of a aha moment for me, that this whole direct consumer business had a little bit of legs, and that more established brands were going to be pulling potentially more out of wholesale and focus more on their own direct channels, and that more and more direct to consumer businesses were probably going to be launching. So how Immerss came about was really at a launch with what ended up being our first customer, Lucchese. And Lucchese is a Texas-based custom company. They've been around for almost 150 years. They make very high-end Western wear, specifically cowboy boots, and have 18 stores kind of shotgunned around the southern part of the country. And we were having lunch with the president of the company. And at the time, we were really kind of more focused on the influencer marketing space. How can we use live video to marry brands and influencers to really create maybe an interesting marketplace from that standpoint? And during the course of our conversation and pitch to him through that, he said, listen, here's our biggest problem. We do a wonderful job when somebody walks into the store, can smell the leather and touch the boots and sit down and try on a pair of boots and work with one of our boot experts, many of which have been with the company for decades. And that's a real easy sell for us. But we spend so much time and money on the website and driving traffic and creating 360 images and fretting over each copy point and wordsmithing this and that. And online, it's just really, really hard for somebody to buy a $700,000-$800,000 pair of boots. If there was a way for us to connect our online shoppers with one of these boot experts that we have in the store, often which stores that are void of traffic or they've got free time, that would be amazing. And that was really the aha moment for us. We learned about Hero later in that, but at the time we really couldn't find anybody doing anything like that. And so a lot of the tenets of the platform were already built because we were doing some live streaming stuff with influencers, like I'd mentioned. And so we went and over the course of probably a 4 or 5 month period, built an MVP for Lucchese and rolled that out in January of 2020 to their stores and with their associates. And the KPIs that we saw were immediate and very, very positive. And we knew that we had something that we thought we could replicate for other brands in the space. We were seeing conversion rates north of 30%. Basically, 1 in every 3 connection that we were making was resulting in a sale. Their typical, business as usual online conversion rate was, well below 1%, which is not unusual for a high-end luxury retailer. Lifts in average order values were north of 60%, which was just crazy to us, right? But it just showed that if you could get a trained associate on the phone and talking with somebody who already had a fairly high propensity to buy, that the odds of getting them over the purchase finish line was very high, and with a cart value that was significantly higher than what it otherwise may have been. And then we also were able to see over the first couple of months a reduction in returns as well, just proving that if you got the right product in the customer's hand the first time, some of those return headaches would go away. And then also saw that customer satisfaction was through the roof as well. Then what happened during that time was the world ended, right? COVID hits, stores shut down in March of 2020, but it ended up being a really positive use case for Lucchese, that even though they had to shutter their stores, they were able to allow their sales associates to go home and be able to field these calls and these video chats with these online shoppers. And so it ended up being a wonderful story that helped take them through the pandemic and allowed us the ability to prove our hypothesis that A, customers wanted to use a service like this, and B, that the results and the ROI and all of that good stuff for the brand perspective would be there. And with that, we rolled up our sleeves, built out the full SaaS platform that you see today, and started rolling it out to other customers.
And what we see oftentimes with these particularly, higher end luxury products, luxury brands, what we often see is this tension, right, between in-store salespeople who are often either fully or partially commissioned, combined with this friction with online and the online sales, and the fact that they're afraid to take phone calls and they want to really try to drive in-store traffic so that they can make the sale, so that they can make the commission, and to the point where even when you walk in the door, if you talk with someone and then you leave and you come back, they try to obviously make sure that when you come back, you ask for the same person so they get the sale. So there's oftentimes this tension, particularly where there's high dollar items involved between physical and digital, right? But yet you've kind of dealt with that by providing live sales stats through the platform, commission tracking through the platform by salesperson, so that if the consultative effort that they're doing through the clienteling app, the live video app, then they get credit for that sale. They get credit for that conversion. If they help a customer complete a purchase digitally, well, then that's something that they should really be getting credit for, because at the end of the day, they've done the hard yards of consulting with the customer, giving them the proper advice, helping them feel confident and comfortable about the brand, about the product, about the category, and then helping to complete the sale. So really, at the end of the day, you've, what appears to be, helped to break down the silo between physical retail and online retail.
That was the biggest hurdle that we didn't recognize kind of going into this thing that we were going to run up against, was there going to be this battle between the physical and the digital worlds? And there is, especially for a company like Lucchese, who was somewhat reticent to get into e-commerce even 20 years ago. They were not like most higher end or luxury retailers, but we're not exactly doing backflips to have to stand up an online store. But to really get them to shift their focus between, hey, look, a sale is a sale, right? Whether you sell a product on your website or somebody walks into your store, this is still a way to build a lasting relationship with your customer. Still obviously higher margins than it would be if you walked into a boot retailer and bought that same pair of boots. And so we've really got to switch the line of thinking and how we go about doing that. And we really almost had to play, for lack of a better description, therapist in some ways of getting that process to happen. And it was, I think it was a difficult one for it to happen, but it really allowed us to see more holistically just kind of the overall landscape of that. And you're right, if you can go to a sales associate who's standing in a store, they don't want another piece of technology to have to deal with. And they don't want to have another set of responsibilities outside of what is going on in between those four walls. But if you tell them, like, look, if your phone rings and you're able to connect via video or chat with a customer who's online, and you could be standing in Dallas, Texas, and this person can be in Topeka, Kansas, and you can still get commission on that sale. Isn't that an amazing thing? And as soon as they hear that and they realize that, from a bottom line standpoint, that there's something meaningful in it for them, it's pretty quick buy-in for sure.
Makes complete sense. And how did you deal with, when it comes to the live streaming side of the app, how did you deal with the, apparent conflict between where the audiences of many of these brands live, which is on social media, and them having their own live stream commerce experience, and getting the brand's audiences who are not living on the live streaming app to cross over from that social media to live stream and back again? But it seems like, at least partially, you've dealt with that by allowing the live stream shopping event to simul stream, at least to Facebook, right?
Yeah, correct. And that's really the biggest thing, that when we're talking to a brand that's interested in live shopping, and most are at this point. They may not be doing it yet, but there's very few that are interested, that are not interested in it. And so when we talk to them about these audiences, right, and you're right, a lot of there's so much organic traffic on Instagram and Facebook, and even TikTok and Pinterest and other places. But the benefit of them doing it from their website through us is that they get to own the entire experience, and that they have full control of that experience. And even though they may only get a smaller fraction of viewers on their website, the conversion rates are extremely high. And they're able to get those viewers where they want them. They want them on their website, where they can have that full branded experience, where they can shop around while they are listening to these live shows. They can browse products. They can easily be able to add to cart and do all that, with us being able to track the viewership, track the sales, and really be able to measure an ROI for them. And once they kind of see that, they get it, right? That it takes time to build an audience, right? And we can simulcast to Facebook. Instagram has not opened up their world, even though they're both owned by Meta. They're a little bit tougher to play. We keep hearing that at some point that they'll allow that, but for the time being, we're really focused on just that branded experience. We record every event. It allows brands to be able to create this really nice curated shopping gallery and video content library right on their site. They see time spent on site go up, and we see more sales on recorded episodes than we do on the lives. Even though they'll be promoting live events, most of these are only lasting on average 18 to 25 minutes in length, right? So you have a very small snapshot in time to capture that audience. And life happens, right? I mean, soccer practice pops up, or a kid gets sick at school, or whatever that may, you may not be able to catch that live episode. And so what we're able to do is have the recording to where they can still promote that, and people can come and be able to watch that show whenever they want.
And I guess that you guys, by definition, are going to have to receive a product feed from the merchant's website, so that you've got catalog access to be able to inject catalog links into the live stream, being able to link back to the product, post live stream, etc. You're going to have a live catalog feed, so that the merchant can easily use the live stream platform to effectively tag products and effectively insert them into the stream at the correct point of mention. Is that so? You guys get a live stream from the merchant?
Yeah, we do. That's really easy on Shopify, because we're just up on the Shopify App Store, and they can go and self-onboard, and boom, all that connection happens instantaneously. For brands that are not Shopify, and we're finishing up our integration with Salesforce Commerce Cloud, and our plans are to integrate with Magento, BigCommerce, WooCommerce, all kind of the usual suspects, to make that as seamless as possible. But for now, if we get a Google feed of their product catalog, we can get everything that we need. And through that app, it's the same app that they use for the digital clienteling, they do exactly what you just mentioned. They build out the products that they're going to be mentioning during the live event. Those get displayed in a product carousel that's embedded onto the video player. They can also pin those products as they're talking about that specific item. You're able to click and then be able to quickly add to cart from there as well. So they build the product gallery, they schedule the event, and then they're able to have each event has a short link that they're able to promote either socially or through their email channels or whatever way that they see fit.
And I like the fact that you support co-hosting, moderation, live chat, because at the end of the day, the host may not have the bandwidth while they're doing the talking about the product. They may not have time to do the live tagging at the point of the broadcast where they're talking about that specific item. They may not have the ability to interact via live chat, etc., in real time. But if they have a co-host and someone who's helping to moderate the entire show, then that means that they can focus fully on engaging with the audience by describing products in detail and showing them, and effectively almost being like a QVC type of experience, but yet they can have the assistance of someone else to make sure that the engagement with the audience who's watching the live stream is really strong.
100%. We recommend that as somebody is presenting and is talking into the camera, that's really the only focus of theirs, is to talk about the products, describe the product, if they're launching a new spring line or whatever the new releases are, whatever that may be, and then have somebody else moderating it and managing those chat questions that are coming in, pinning the products. It really works best if there are at least two people doing it. Now, it is designed to be able to be self-managed, to where a single owner of a small boutique can certainly go live by themselves, answer chats, pin products themselves, and do all that. But it really does work best if there are multiple people involved.
Makes sense. And how do you see the overlap? And you said that they're all part of the same app, so it's not like a brand is going to have to install two separate apps on their smartphone or anything like that. But how do you see the areas of overlap happening between the two primary functions of the app, between the live stream piece and the clienteling piece? Are you able to hand customers off that are in the live stream off to a support person, off to a salesperson? How is there any distinct overlap between those functions to where there is handoff between the two, or are they pretty distinct in standalone in their functionality?
That's the beauty of it, is that it's both, right? They do work wonderful as standalone products. And I would say that the majority of our customers are using either one or the other right now. But where the real magic and where we see the most amazing KPIs come in is when during a live show, the host is able to say, hey, if you want to connect live with one of our product experts right now and get some exact questions answered, click the widget on the bottom of the screen and you can be directed immediately. And then during that live event, or right after that live event happens, or whenever that may be, or even if they're watching a replay, they're able to click and then be able to connect live. Then you've got obviously a customer who is so interested that they're watching a live stream, is even so interested that they want to connect and have questions about the product. And so you're going to see a very high likelihood of a purchase happening once that connection is made.
Right. So even in a pre-recorded live stream, so after the live stream ends, it's recorded. They may repurpose that, say, onto a PDP as a video on the product page, and even from that recorded stream, then someone is still able to access the digital clienteling support from directly within that video.
Yeah. What's beautiful is that the widget that we have that enables that connection from the customer to the sales associate is always there. And it can be a link on a PDP. It can be a widget that's displayed on every screen. It can be there in the chat of the video, of the recorded video or the live video. So there are multiple ways for the customer to be able to get into that engagement.
So super easy to access and virtually friction-free, I guess, is the key here.
100%. And all we ask for from the customer standpoint to reduce that friction is just their first name, right? Now, the goal is during the course of that conversation, and as they're building a relationship with that sales associate and trust is being established and all of that, we make it really easy that with a click of a button on the app, the sales associate can ask for more information from that customer, be able to get their last name, their phone number, their email, be able to save them, to their contact list and really use the app as a micro CRM to where after that engagement happens, and even if the purchase doesn't happen during that engagement, they're able to send out SMS messages and say, hey, Jason, it's Patrick at the store. It was so great talking to you a couple of days ago. Look, I know that you were looking for X, Y, and Z. We just got these in today. I just wanted to share them with you. And I can send you a product image that then you could click and be able to get taken right to that PDP and be able to track all of that activity and commission that sales associate for that activity.
And does that allow them directly from the app to also create the customer an account and create a cart for them on their behalf as well?
Yes, both parties can add to cart.
Wow. Okay. Well, that makes it really easy. That makes it really seamless for the clientele or the customer support person or the sales rep or whatever role they're playing. Whatever role they're playing, they're able to effectively completely grease the wheels of the purchase right from consideration through conversion.
Yeah, 100%. That's the goal, at least.
And while this makes absolute sense for things that are visual in nature, in particular, like fashion, anything that really has a strong visual component would make absolute sense for this. But I could see a scenario where, even for, things like auto parts, where maybe you need to see the part, or, there are probably use cases for this type of supported customer service experience, this remote customer service experience where, even the person on the other end of the line might need to see something. In other words, that customer support person or that sales rep might need to see something on the customer's end to be able to support them in the right way. Or let's say it's a furniture store, right? And the customer wants to show them the space that they're looking to fill. And so they need to see the layout, they need to see the color scheme, they need to see the overall design. Then it would seem to me that this would be a very much a two-way conversation with the video that could be much more useful, not just in areas like fashion, which have a strong visual component, but in almost any scenario where there does need to be a two-way give and take of information to be able to help complete the sale.
Absolutely. The customer is just as empowered as the sales associate using our technology, right? And to your point, if it is, I'm looking for a couch for the living room, and now I can show you the living room and the space it's going to be in and the color palettes of my trim and my paint, and I've got this color rug. Talk about being able to really reduce the amount of friction into a purchase of a couch online that didn't exist. And really, anything that could warrant a consultative sale, any product that could benefit from having a human being able to explain it to you is really a good fit for us.
And again, going back to that almost the auto part scenario, you might be under the bloody bonnet of your car and you might be like, hey, I need this thing, I don't even necessarily know what it's called, but here's where it goes, and it's broken clearly, this is the part that I need. I think the customer being able to show things from their perspective and from their side is always going to produce a better dialogue than a one-way conversation.
Absolutely. And it establishes trust. It establishes a relationship between that associate and that brand and that customer. It forces the issue of a customer going and telling their friends and family about the experience that they had that was positive, right? So many experiences that you hear using chatbots or just that would be more sales related or customer service related or whatever that may be are so often negative, that if you can get, as a brand, somebody being evangelical about the experience that they had that was different than any other brand that's out there, whether it is buying auto parts or buying a pair of cowboy boots or buying an expensive necklace or whatever that may be, that's just a huge win. And even though it's really tough at this point for us from a long-term perspective at this point to really put our finger on a hard lifetime value of a customer and the impact of that, when you go through and you read the reviews, we ask at the end of every engagement that a customer has, we ask them to leave a simple 1 to 5 star rating. And they're also able to leave any feedback that they wish. And we're averaging 4.8 stars out of 5. And really, it's almost all exclusively 5-star, and then a handful of 1-star of people who are just not having a very good day, or maybe their technology on their end wasn't enabling the engagement to happen. But it's overwhelmingly positive. And the feedback that we get too, and that we're able to see, and the brands are able to see about how much people enjoyed the shopping experience is really, really, really impactful.
And the thing I like about this, I guess, is that there is that element of surprise and delight, because there still isn't, despite technologies like yours and other technologies in the market that do live streaming, etc., that there's still a tremendous amount of websites. In fact, I would say the lion's share of websites out there that don't do digital clienteling, they don't do live stream shopping. And so whenever customers run across these services on a website, or these experiences on a website, and they play with them, just maybe it's just because they're inquisitive about what this experience might be like, and they want to just try it out for themselves, independent of the shopping experience. They may want to try out the support experience via these channels. It feels like this is an opportunity to surprise and delight in ways that just still aren't that common yet.
100%. Yeah, this is just starting to scratch the surface. Obviously, live commerce is just in its infancy. We're members of Gartner, and as you probably know, Gartner has these hype cycles that talk about, kind of when new technologies are going to really reach mainstream adoption. And live commerce actually just made their way onto a hype cycle not too long ago. And within that hype cycle, the type of technology, this live shopping and live commerce piece, is really forecasted to start to reach mainstream adoption in the next 2 to 3 years. So I think that we'll see in 2020 some ramp up of it. And then I really think that in 2024, 2025, you'll really start to see the explosion of this. And one of the things that we're seeing brands start to focus on is they obviously want to reduce as best they can the number of customer service calls that are coming into the Immerss platform, right? They don't want to ring a sales associate on the floor of a store with somebody from Omaha, Nebraska, that's just trying to facilitate a return. So we integrate with most of the existing chatbots, be it Zendesk or Gorgeous or HubSpot or whoever that may be, to really prompt that question to the customer. Hey, are you looking for customer support? And if they are, they click a button, our experience ends, and then they immediately get transferred over to Zendesk or Gorgeous or whatever that may be, so that they can get that help. And then the other thing that brands are starting to look at is obviously loyalty and rewards programs are starting to become more of a thing. And how do you leverage an experience like Immerss and put that behind a loyalty program, right? If you've got somebody that's coming to a website that has 2 million unique visitors coming a month, we can tell you pretty accurately about how many phone calls or video calls or chats that's going to generate. And you may just not have the ability from a staffing perspective to field all those. And so one of the ways that we can reduce the number of inbound inquiries, if a brand needs to, is by making it only available to those customers who are logged in or who are part of their rewards program, and really create this nice value add for that program to really give their best, highest valued customers access to this type of experience.
Yeah, that's nice. So like almost like a VIP type of experience. And you've answered what was going to be one of my other questions. You kind of answered it in advance. So you kind of were reading my mind there, because I totally agree. I think that the concern with any of these live clienteling services is, are my salespeople, my very valuable salespeople, consultative salespeople, now going to be turned into customer support agents instead, dealing with everything but sales? And so the ability to filter those, the ability to redirect customers to a help desk or a live chat system instead, the ability to redirect them to a contact us page, et cetera, is absolutely mission critical with a solution such as yours, because otherwise it's going to turn your salespeople off from ever wanting to answer calls if 95% of them are just, how do I return this product to you? So makes absolute sense. And what happens in the scenario when, say, a live support person is not available? Is it similar to live chat where you basically would just leave your details, and then you effectively are giving permission for them to call you back? and get a hold of you and re-engage at a time that they're actually available?
Yeah, 100%. So the widget acts as a message taker outside of store hours. So there are two sets of hours that you set when you in your Immerss back office. One is the widget hours. That's how many. That's when the widget is going to appear. We just recommend having it on 24/7. And then you set your store hours. When do you expect there to be a human being available to answer a call? And if it's outside of those call hours, or if every associate is busy, then it's going to prompt the customer, hey, you've caught us outside of store hours, or hey, all of our associates are busy. Please leave your name, your number, and if you want to leave any information about what you're looking for, and we'll get back with you. And then at either the next morning, if the call came in overnight or later that day, through the app, the associates can go in, they can see that there were X number of missed calls. They're able to claim those calls, right? And each brand can do those the way that they want to, but that way you're not getting multiple associates reaching out to that same customer, answering the same question. So only once you claim a lead can you then communicate with them. And then you're able to send them an SMS message or an email and say, hey, it's Patrick at the store. Sorry we missed you. You had asked about X, Y, and Z. Here's the answer to those questions. Oh, here's a couple of products that I think could be of interest to you as well. Send it that way. And then also be able to send a link and say, hey, if you want to connect with me live, click this link and you can instantly be connected with me live and I can answer any of your questions that way.
Brilliant. And what are you seeing from your customers today that you either don't offer in your app that is maybe already on your roadmap, or that they're asking for that you say, okay, sometime in the next, say 18 months, these are the key pieces of functionality that we'd love to add because we think it's going to dramatically enhance the experience even over what we offer right now?
I think what the biggest thing that's on our roadmap, besides the multilingual piece, because we are working outside of just the geo US, we're working with companies in Mexico and now in Europe. And so we do need to have a multilingual part of that. But more specifically, in terms of a feature set, I think that what is most critical is how do we pass on as much information to the associate without overwhelming them? Is there a way, and we're talking with other partners because we're not trying to get into the AI piece of things. We can, can we package up a set of information and be able to pass that on to the sales associate? This customer's looked at these 3 products. You should suggest these 2 products and be able to put that in an easy to digest way, those suggestions for that customer. So I think that that's where you'll start to see us over the course of the next couple of years start to really integrate with more of this data and how to package that and supply that to the sales associate.
Yeah, look, I think that's brilliant. This unfortunately what we see a lot is with technology that it tends to be very English centric, it tends to be very North America centric, for example. And to think about how can my technology be more broadly adopted internationally, I think that's such a smart move because it not only helps a broader customer base, but it also helps to de-risk your business and de-risk your growth prospects as well.
And to be clear, the European marketplace and certainly the Asian is further along with this than the US is. And Latin America, especially, are huge consumers of video and love this technology too. So from just how do we run our business and find market share as quick as we can because we're a startup and we're just trying to grow outside of the US, there is significant opportunity and perhaps some lower hanging fruit.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes total sense. And absolutely, my wife is Asian, and you're absolutely right. I tell you, live stream shopping, live stream clienteling and support, all that stuff is extremely, extremely common right throughout Asia, and they're so far ahead of the West in terms of just adoption of digital tech, full stop, adoption of e-commerce, full stop. It's all very, very advanced. Being able to pay with your face, and the technology aspect of things is much, much more advanced than it is in the West. So it would make perfect sense to go after a market that's already got super high adoption rates of the technology that you guys are building.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
And if people want to get a hold of you, find out more about Immerss and what you guys are doing now, just so that everybody knows, it's pronounced Immerss, just like normal Immerss, but it's spelt slightly differently. So it's IMMERSS. immerss.live. That's the website. And so if they want to learn more about Immerss, what you guys do, how you do it, some of your pricing, and that probably leads me to the next question. Apart from how they find out about you, how do you guys make your money?
Yeah, so we're a traditional SaaS platform, right? We're a month-to-month basis per user license for the digital clienteling. So we have 3 packages: chat only, chat and live video, and then our full clienteling package, which allows you to be able to do those outbound SMS messages and things like that. And then from a live stream standpoint, it's a per show, per viewer. So there's a small fee per show and a small fee per 1,000 viewers, and that's it. And so it's very flexible, allows you to really grow with it without a huge capex right from the get-go, or locking into a 3-year commitment or anything like that. So we try to be as flexible as possible because this is so new, right? And we've tried it with a few brands that we thought this is going to be a home run, and they just weren't ready for it. We tried it with 1 or 2 that we were like, they're ready for it, but let's give it a shot. And it's been great. So it just really is a case-by-case basis, but the pricing's super easy to digest.
Love it. And I don't see pricing on the website, but just indicatively, what kind of price are you looking at from a clienteling perspective on a per user cost basis? How do you work the costs on that, just indicatively?
Yeah, it's $50 for chat, it's $90 for chat and video, and it's $130 for the full clienteling per user per month, right? So you got 10 users using the full clienteling, it'd be $1,300 a month. So from an ROI perspective, we really try to kind of look at it as most of the AOVs of the brands that we're working with are in the multiple hundreds of dollars, or at least north of $100, say. And that if you believe that through this tech that each of your sales associates can make 1 incremental sale a month minimum, then you should be operating in the black on this. Not to mention just offering your customers a differentiated buying experience and all the other value add that comes along with it.
Feels like a no-brainer, particularly if you've got a decent AOV. Obviously, if you're selling, little trinkets, then it probably doesn't make sense. But anything that requires a consultative aspect to the sale, or would benefit from a consultative aspect to the sale, that by definition usually means a high AOV. And so therefore it feels like an absolute no-brainer at that price point.
Again, come work for us.
Love it. Love it. And again, would you prefer that people just go to the website, go to immerss.live, or would you prefer that they reach out to you directly on LinkedIn, or how do you prefer that people get a hold of you?
Yeah, LinkedIn's great. You can find me easily at Patrick Jacobs on LinkedIn. My email address is pjacobs, JACOBS, at immerss.com. That's IMSS.com. And just by clicking a book a demo or talk to us on our website, I'll get an email from that as well. So lots of different ways for you to ping me, and would love to be able to talk to any merchants out there that are starting to consider live commerce. We've learned a lot over the last couple of years. We'll be really honest with you if we just think that maybe this isn't a fit for you. So if you are wanting just kind of a free consultative, diagnostics, if you will, on whether your brand is ready for this, would love to have that conversation.
Love it. Thank you so much for providing all this useful information about your industry, what you're doing, how you're doing it, the benefits that people can enjoy through live stream shopping, as well as digital clienteling and digital support services, live video support services. Absolutely amazing. Now we're coming to the end of our time together, and this is the point where I turn the microphone over to you. I flip the script on myself, and I allow you to ask me one question, any question you like. It could be personal, it could be professional, it could be anything you like. So over to you, Patrick Jacobs from Immerss. Thank you so much for your time today. What's your question for me?
Living in New Zealand, how much black clothing do you own?
It's funny you should mention that, because I think that a significant portion of my wardrobe is in the darker color palettes anyway. I don't know why. I don't think that's necessarily a New Zealand thing, but certainly a significant portion of my wardrobe tends towards the darker color palettes, the grays, the blacks, the greens. I don't necessarily think that that's necessarily a Kiwi thing, but certainly our weather is, tends towards the colder, wetter side of the industry of weather. And so definitely we there's a lot of dark clothing down here for sure. That's such an interesting question.
And on a follow-up on that, that's completely different, but that I'm curious about.
Love it.
American football or Australian rules football? What's your preference?
Yeah, I still prefer American football personally. Aussie rules is not played in New Zealand. Rugby league and rugby union are the big two footy games played here in New Zealand, but Aussie rules is absolutely insane in Australia with like the likes of the MCG where they can have 85, 90,000 people at a Aussie rules football game. So definitely Aussie rules is massive in Australia. Rugby's massive here, but I still have to say there's nothing quite like, maybe this is my Americanism shining through. It's probably one of the few areas where I'm still quite a big fan of something strongly and distinctly American. Is I do like a good American football game. I'm a big fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. They're my team. Have kind of always been my team, and I've been to see several games in the United States, and the tailgate parties, people turning up 3-4 days in advance and being in the car parks, and it's American football fans. They're pretty crazy. I don't think they're as crazy as European football, i.e. soccer fans. They tend not to storm the field and kill people at American football games like they sometimes do in with soccer. But definitely Americans take their football seriously, but it's in good fun. There's good rivalries. It's good ribbing, but people are generally exceptionally friendly, exceptionally welcoming. And if you're wearing the same gear as they're wearing, then I've been walking through a car park on the way to a game, and had people that were tailgating and saying, "Here, do you want a chicken wing?" If you're a fan of the same team. So it's the funniest thing. Americans do take their football really seriously.
Well, as a diehard Denver Broncos fan, I believe it's probably time for us to cut our conversation.
I'm really, really surprised that you are not a Cowboys fan.
No, never have been, never will be.
Interesting. That's really surprising. I thought everybody in Texas was a Cowboys fan.
I grew up in Oklahoma City, and as you are in Oklahoma City, in that part of the country where you didn't have an NFL team, you had 80% were Broncos fans, 10% were Chiefs fans, and 10% were Broncos fans. And I came around when John Elway was there, and all of those great teams. And then I went to college in Denver, so my blood runs orange. So I have yeah.
Well, listen, Patrick, it has been a fantastic time speaking with you today. I really appreciate you sharing from your industry what's going on. Love to have a conversation with you another 12, 18 months and see how far you've come, see how far you've penetrated into the Asian market and to the European market, because I think you got a long legs ahead of you. So congratulations and good luck with every success along the way.
Awesome, Jason. Appreciate the time. Great talking with you.
Are you a B2B or D2C e-commerce merchant? Then head over to greenwoodconsulting.net to learn how we can help you scale your business.